One more thing. Let's talk about guards, baby. Are you in on D'Angelo Russell? Are you in on Russell Westbrook? What if you only had 2 minimum slots for a guard? We'll talk about that and more in today's Locked On Mavs. One more thing.
I'm here because I have to do it.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
People forget about fun.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
Yeah, you're still locked into the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member, covered the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Today, I'm joined by Isaac Harris and Slightly Biased. We're going to continue our conversation about guards. We're talking about D'Angelo Russell, talking about Russell Westbrook. Then I'll ask, if you had 2 minimum slots, who would you want for the Mavericks if you're trying to fill that guard rotation spot there with 2 minimums? We also get into a conversation about the Luka trade, some of the assets. We get into some of those talks about what the Mavs are going to do later in the offseason. Anthony Davis, is he undervalued? We talk about an Austin Reeves trade. There's all kinds of different things we get on this one. Just having some fun at the end of an episode here. So check it out. Here's me, Isaac and Slightly, talking about the Mavs.
There's a couple of names that we haven't mentioned yet. The 2 Russells.
D'Angelo, we talked about him yesterday.
D'Lo and wait, it's funny to me. I don't think it would happen, and I don't want it to happen. But why has Russell Westbrook's name never ever been mentioned?
I mentioned Russell Westbrook on this show.
Well, like in a rumor, yeah.
Yeah, but in like any time it's like, here are the players that, even if it's like some guy I don't trust, Russell Westbrook's name is never in it.
I just feel like he fits so well in Denver. Like he kind of had a little renaissance for himself until he wasn't in the playoffs. Like, I don't know. He was fine for them. He had his run.
Man,
and I think everybody knows the timeline now at this point for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it the beginning of the season he looks terrible, then middle of the season he's awesome, then end of the season he's like,
he feels like a Nico guy so much that.
But maybe him and Cubans, since Cuban still owns part of the team, maybe that's a deal breaker.
Well, he sold it, so I don't know.
I bet Dumont's heard of him.
True, that might be one of the guys. No chance he knows who Malcolm Brogdon is.
Okay,
like,
let's say this: the Mavs roll in
the
next
president
year with Russell Westbrook and just the core they have now, and they're like, we're starting Russell Westbrook.
Stand.
How concerned are you about the Mavs? 0 to 5.
Imagine that Russ, Christie, Russ, Klay, Flagg,
Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis.
Don't
Dereck
do that
Lively.
to Cooper. Don't.
Cooper Flagg would have to shoot 43% from 3, like immediately on 12
Cooper's like,
game.
John, how do I come back to Durham? Like, I can't watch another Russ brick
if Russ would come off the bench and you could start somebody else.
No, I'm out on Russ.
You're just out on Russ in general.
I was just saying that as a joke. Like, why haven't we heard his name?
I think this is why, because I don't think people want to be in on that experience.
Even like the aggregators are like, we can't even. That wouldn't even pop off on a tweet.
The D'Angelo Russell one.
That one like kind of fits what you were saying earlier. Like your proto, like the guard you would build.
Give your pitch for D'Angelo Russell, Isaac.
Wait, me?
Yeah, you had a pitch for D'Angelo Russell yesterday.
No, I don't want D'Angelo Russell on this team.
But like, why it would make sense?
No. The only reason I said his name yesterday was with the Stein report of saying, hey, Dallas could really make an appealing situation to somebody to take like a pay cut, basically. And it's like, who's the type of guy out there that you think's probably going to get more money, but would be like the Tyus Jones shock of like, wow, he took the minimum to go to this team. And it'd be, I think D'Angelo Russell would like fit that type of bill. Like, dang, he really took the minimum to go there. Like that's a pretty crazy drop off salary wise. And for his age, I just don't want him. I've never been a big fan of his game. I'm down to be completely wrong on that. I'm just not a big fan.
No, stand on that. That was the Christian Wood dilemma right there.
I was always out on Christian Wood.
Same. And I talked myself into it, but I was always, this guy is just not a player I want on my team.
I think I talked myself into this is the reality we live in.
Yeah.
Those are wild times when people were like, dude, max him out.
Yes. So the people are like, $20 million contract extension, do it tomorrow. And I'm like,
please don't.
Are we
Insects like
you think those
defensive rebounding percentage?
You think those are the same people that wanted to sign Nerlens to that deal?
Oh man, the Mavs have lucked out several times, big time.
Not giving these guys contracts.
The Nerlens one, I still have never recovered from that.
Where is he at now?
Would he still be on the team?
I don't know.
Rick hated me so much for asking Nerlens questions.
It's like,
God,
dude, he's on the team.
Oh my God, D'Lo was horrible in Brooklyn. I'm looking at his numbers right now.
Yeah, not great.
29% from three.
I mean, 2019 wasn't that the last time that he was on Brooklyn and it was a good experience?
He was an all-star.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
6 years ago.
from Stein's report too. Sean Sweeney possibly being a finalist in Phoenix. That would be a big blow to Dallas. Sean Sweeney's a really good coach, very well respected.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a head coach at some point. I'd be super happy for him, but losing him from Jason Kidd would be tough.
Yeah, that would hurt. That would be one of those things that in January we're talking about the Mavs defense, and it's like they miss Sweeney bad.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe they promote Vogel at that point, and I don't know.
Phoenix, bring Vogel back.
The Mavs.
No,
Well, they could.
How does that work if you're paying a coach's who you fired salary but you want to hire him again?
The Kings are probably doing that, aren't they? Aren't the Kings?
Do you think of a new
Rock-
salary?
Didn't the Rockets do that with D'Antoni or the Lakers or something?
Can we bring back that NFL trainer and pay him again without the certificate?
Can we put Cuban in a GM role? Like the Dumonts are like, you're not going to be an owner again, but we want you to be the GM, like officially.
He sells the other part of his stake and then becomes the GM for another team.
Oh, that would be sick. That would be a sick move.
Content.
All right, let's play a game. Let's do. You get two minimum deals for the Mavs for guards to feel good about where they are. Who are you going with?
Chris Paul and Markelle Fultz.
Chris Paul and Dante Exum.
I think I would go Chris Paul. Exum is probably my name, but if Tyus Jones is up for it, I'm up for Tyus Jones. I'm down to take that risk.
You're down to sign 2 Oompa Loompas?
You know what? I'm changing my answer, actually. I'm going to go Chris Paul and D'Lo if D'Lo's actually a minimum guy.
I mean, if he is, that's kind of a steal for you.
I'm about to say D'Lo on a minimum, I would do that. I feel like that's actually good value.
And I feel like we see some of these guards take these smaller deals, or like Markelle Fultz didn't get signed last year, and we were all like, "What the heck?" And then Tyus Jones goes for a minimum. We go, "Wait, what the heck?" It's just the new reality of the NBA, the CBA, like what the economy of the NBA is right now.
Did any of those work though?
When Markelle Fultz got signed eventually he was to the Kings.
I mean, he went to the Kings, but his is more about like trying to get healthy stuff. And
also true.
But the Tyus Jones one is the killer.
That one
if that worked out great, it could have been every good team would be using that right now on their podcast on the Locked On Network. Be like, dude, you see what happened with Tyus Jones in Phoenix? This is why we can get X player for minimum.
I agree with Nick though that Phoenix was just so bad, and I don't think much of it was Tyus Jones' fault. But
I would be down for Tyus Jones. Yeah, I don't know about him and Chris Paul together. Them two with Brandon Williams, all like having 3 guys at like 6'1", 6'2", would be kind of tough for me. But I would want one of those guys to be like an Exum, Markelle Fultz, the other one to be Chris Paul or Tyus Jones, ideally.
Would any of you, if they do get Chris Paul, would any of you be down to give our old friend Dennis Smith Jr. a run?
Yeah,
or give him the other one?
Sure.
I would. Somebody tweets me about him like every week.
Day,
it feels like
every day.
And I would be down. Like I wish they would have gave him a shot last year and bring him to camp at least and see where he's at right now. And I would love to bring Dennis back. Sign me up.
Is there any connection for him to anyone when he was here at this point, though?
I don't know, but he did go to a game last year. I remember seeing him.
They fired all of his friends.
Yeah, they did.
Isn't that the case with all of us?
Yeah.
Which friends do we have left?
Even Luka, they got rid of him.
I guess the Mavs TV people we're still friends with.
He's
True.
like, follow.
That's my
So we're all in on Chris Paul. We're out on Russell Westbrook.
That would just be hilarious.
We're half in, half out on Tyus Jones. Malcolm Brogdon slightly sounded like you were out on him.
I don't know what you're even getting from Malcolm Brogdon at this juncture.
Well,
Brogdon's like,
here's the thing.
if
You only need like 35 games from him. So can you get those in the front half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what I wouldn't be upset if they got Brogdon at a minimum. Any of these guys for a minimum, like, is fine for me.
Brogdon's though, like if you go to like a butcher shop and they're like, man, I'm out of the fillets, I'm out of like, they're just like, you're going down the list of the things that you try to go in and get, and you're like, all right, well, I'll take a couple pounds of that ground beef, I guess. Like you're at least walking out there with something,
Yeah,
but it's not your top priority.
that's a good one. I like that. It's 100% true.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Wayfair. They got just what you need. The days are getting longer. The weather's warming up. Actually, it's getting cooler, oddly, in Dallas. It's very weird this week. The people are spending more time outside. If it's 80, though, you do want to spend some time outside, actually, in Dallas, which is great. It's time to refresh your outdoor space. You can do that with Wayfair. They have everything you need to make it feel more like you and feel exactly how you want to feel when you walk outside into that space. Grab patio dining set, string lights. Wayfair has all that kind of stuff to extend your outdoor space. They have a bunch of a bunch of different kind of styles and things like that. You can also see different things in different colors, which is great. I've loved using Wayfair in the past. Delivery is free and hassle-free, even for big stuff. I got a big like drink cabinet delivered, and it was delivered in a box straight to my door. I could put it together. Didn't have to figure out if it fit in my car, all that kind of stuff. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Okay, a couple of trade options for guards.
I'm gonna tell your boss you went over on time.
You don't know what I'm doing. Andrew Nembhard, this is gonna make $18 million, and they've got to sign Miles Turner, and so I've been told that they are gonna go into the tax next year, like for the first time. The Pacers are gonna do that for a while, but if they're trying to save money somewhere, Nembhard to me is like he's the perfect example of this type of player the Mavs want. Is there a deal you think the Pacers would do to get him? Right, they could really use a backup center right now. If you're watching,
No, he's too good.
Yeah, I would love him on this team.
I would love him too.
I just don't. It was funny because going to the playoffs, I was like, dude, they're gonna have to choose between Nembhard or Neesmith. And now they both have like big time moments in the playoffs. I'm like, how do you pick between those guys? I think it's more of like they're going to look around the edges and be like, hey, can we shed Obi Toppin? Can we probably shed a TJ McConnell? Do
you guys remember when we were just like, if they just do an Obi Toppin trade, like we'll be
yes. Right. I was talking about that last night when I was watching Obi Toppin stink it up. I was like, God, this guy was like the potential savior for us.
But they only needed him to play like 15 minutes. It wasn't
true. No, I think the Nembhard thing solved itself because I think it was more so Mathurin versus Nembhard, and Mathurin he'd be out of the equation for me if I'm the Pacers.
Oof, he's looked rough in this series.
Yeah, somebody said on the broadcast on last night's game, is like Mathurin's just been bad.
Was this Stan Van Gundy? Didn't he just come out? He's just been bad,
crap, dude. No, not holding back.
But that's a coach, though. That's a coach who watches a guy like that and like feels for Rick Carlisle.
It's been bad. Shout out to Rick, though, man. I mean, making a run at this thing again.
Bigger mistake, letting Rick go or letting Brunson go?
Brunson. So are we all in pretty much agreement that we're not trading a first round pick for any type of guard?
Can't do it. There's not a guy we named today I would trade a first for.
I would do it for Reeves.
For Reeves?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it for Kobe White?
Kobe White's one of the hardest players I've ever thought about in a trade because I'm like, I genuinely have no idea what it would cost to get this guy. None. You could tell me the Bulls like, I need 2 first-round picks. Or you could tell me that they'd be like, yeah, we could use a wing like PJ is fine. Like, let's just do 1 for 1. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, because I don't know what the Bulls do. Like, what are they? I don't know. Like, what are they doing half the time?
Yeah, I mean,
like
he's one of those interesting NBA players. Just like teams probably look at him differently just because of the size and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I would love Kobe White, but I don't know what his value is.
I would love him too. If
he's
they keep him, though,
it's not like he's tiny.
I know, but there's the combo guard. Is he really a point guard? No. Am I cool with him being a shooting guard, playing next to another point guard? Like that's where you start to run into.
I'm down for it. I'm all in on Kobe White.
You'd give up a first for him?
I think so, yeah.
The 2026 first?
I think so, yeah. I think he's young enough. Yeah, I like the size. I think we've seen him play with Josh Giddey last year. I think he could play. I think he'd be a great 6-man to come off the bench too.
You don't think there's a scenario where Kyrie like isn't or comes back and isn't the same, and Anthony Davis is like out for the season, and then
Stop.
you know what I mean? No, this is
I'm
where
about to
this is where
throw
I'm not
you
gonna
in
go
that.
full gloom and doom, but like I'm keeping all the contingency plans if I'm the Mavs.
I agree with you.
I would give the Lakers pick before I would give up the 2026 one.
I don't think I'd give up a first for Kobe White.
I don't think I would either.
But you'd give the Lakers pick back to the Lakers for Austin Reeves?
I would do it for Reeves. I think Reeves is just better.
Ugh, it should be. They should have multiple Lakers picks.
Lakers first and Gafford for Reeves.
Going back to like the biggest
so
problem.
in on Reeves. I think Reeves, who sucked in the playoffs for sure, but I think he's very good. Yeah, he should have already been here, 100%.
That's the thing. Since we're already at this point in the podcast, this is the thing about the Nico conversation right now. That's like that is frustrating the most. Of like, so many people have like tried to like talk themselves into like Nico being right or whatever. I'm like, the only thing, and even the people, it's like, dude, we're gonna have to wait years down the road to see if Nico is right. There is nothing right about how he did the trade and the return he got back. Like that is just indefensible. Like there's just how like that makes it. It's not like what Luka does in his career. That right there makes the trade bad, wrong, like all the stuff. So that's just like anybody trying to punt to see like we'll see who wins this trade on. No, you lost the trade because of the return and how you went about getting that package done, like all that.
Yeah.
That's
I was listening to a show today talk about the All NBA teams, and they're like Giannis makes his 7th first team All NBA, and like he's behind LeBron, who has like what 20 or 13 or something like that. And then he goes, and then after that it's KD who has 6. And then he's like, and then it's Luka who has 5. Like he has more first team All NBAs than Steph Curry. Like, what are we talking about? You should have gotten so much for this player.
Yeah.
The one of the reasons why we're like I'm talking about keeping as many assets as possible is they didn't get enough in that Luka trade. And unless you're gonna blow it up, actually, can we do this right now? I did a show over the weekend where I was like, if the Mavs really were going for really going to go for it and really wanted to do this right with Cooper Flagg, like, hey, we got a reset button and we're able to do it. They should just blow it up right now.
That's just never gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I said if I were the GM, what would be my first calls? That would be my realistic first call. But deep down, secretly, without Stein finding out, my first call would be just like, hey, so theoretically, AD's available. What are you giving up, Houston?
See, this is what happened with Nico, and then he had to make Rob promise to not tell anybody, and then he ended up getting less. That's how it ended up being. But
I feel like AD's kind of become a little bit underrated, though.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
And he's the face of the Luka trade, to where, like,
Nico's the
timeline
face
or
of the
not,
Luka
I
trade.
feel like you kind of have to like, you got to see the AD timeline out. Like, he's that good to where if he is healthy for a season, or like there is a chance at a championship. And the fact that he was basically the only piece. I mean, love Max, love the first round, but it's like, I don't know. It just, even if you're all in a Cooper Flagg timeline, I think it's even a even tougher thing for the fan base to say, yeah, we're gonna dump AD for picks. Like,
yeah,
I think that would just, it's like, oh wow. Like,
I just think, and going through all the teams that have tried to do the 2 timeline thing, your window, and even without the 2 timelines, the Mavs window to win a title is like this next 2.5 years.
But none of those prospects are Cooper Flagg though in the double time.
One of them was Jason Tatum.
The Mavs just
it was great.
I think the difference is like the Warriors made it a point to do a double timeline thing when, like Isaac just said, none of the guys they had that were young were like Jordan Poole.
They were
like,
good. They were.
You remember, like, there was like Steph Curry was in the locker room, like, that guy's the future, pointing at Jordan Poole. Like, that's now you have Cooper Flagg, and I do think, like, the way Cooper Flagg projects as a player, I think it's better for him, actually. Even if you're not accumulating future assets, it's better for him to be on a competitive team and like playing a role where he's second, third guy, and he's playing alongside AD, playing alongside Kyrie. I think that's much better for his development than go out there and shoot 23 times. And, you know, Max Christie's your second best player on your team. Or Dereck Lively, sorry.
It's like, oh,
Like, imagine if he was in Washington with Alex Sarr and Jordan Poole. Like, I think that'd suck. Like,
yeah,
I agree. There's people who said the Mavs were the worst fit. I'm like, Like,
No,
do we just
get
forget
outta here.
Charlotte exists? Like,
My
I'm
other-
no offense.
Slightly. So my other 3 examples. So my one example was the Warriors in 2021. It's just a different thing because Wiseman didn't work. 2018 Celtics, Tatum and Brown. They all said Kyrie in year 7, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford. They tried to do the 2 timelines thing. They end up losing Kyrie for nothing, but then they make they win a lot throughout. They pivoted real quick on that because they lost Kyrie for nothing.
Can I interject on that though?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're kind of similar to the Mavs, where they kind of just lucked out. They the horrible Nets trade, they lucked out into getting Tatum and Brown. But the 2 timeline thing I think could have worked, but look, I love the guy. I'm super happy he's on my team. Kyrie was just not in a place at that point in his career where he was like the guy on a team and was ready to shoulder that responsibility.
Mm.
It was kind of messy.
The 06 Heat was my other example with Wade and Shaq. You bring Shaq in. Shaq was 33 when he got brought in. They win a title. They had it the first year. Then they win a title the next year. And then Shaq gets traded in 08 to Phoenix. The Heat went 15-67 that year and didn't recover until basically they got LeBron, Wade, and Bosh all together. Like, it took a miracle for them to recover after that.
Yeah. That's fair.
And that's to me what I look at and see this happening, but we'll see. Then the 2012 Spurs was my last example. Kawhi and Duncan. They draft Kawhi. They make the finals in 2013. Duncan is like 36. Parker's 30. Manu's 35. They win the finals the next year. Summer of 2015, they signed LaMarcus Aldridge. They actually did move to that next timeline. And then 2016, they lose in the second round. Tim Duncan retires. End of 27, made Western Conference Finals. Manu Ginobili
Zaza
retires.
Pachulia.
Yeah. End of 2018, first round, they lose. And then Kawhi forces a trade. It's like, oof.
I think that's the closest one for me of just like stepping into a veteran. I just love the idea of Cooper Flagg stepping into the locker room with Kyrie, AD, and Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul.
Yeah, imagine.
And Chris Paul. Yeah. And while also having like one of his boys and Dereck Lively and, having a couple other guys they can still connect with on the team that's around his same age, like a Lively or Max Christie that's just a year or two older than him, or a couple years older than him. If they trade Gafford to Atlanta and get another first round pick there, they sign Tyrese Proctor as an undrafted free agent, bring another one of his young guys in there.
And maybe Kawhi doesn't become Kawhi without being around Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili for those 3 or 4 years, right? Like that's the case against it. My case of blow it up is completely cold hearted, just looking at facts and figures, just looking at the timelines of what this team is and thinking, all right, in 3 years, when Cooper Flagg is ready to be have a team built around him, the Mavs are going to need assets in order to do that. And so this is how you accumulate them to get to that point. But
yeah, I think winning the lottery had changed it to where, yeah, I thought like when people were, even before winning the lottery, there was people who were advocating for just trading AD and getting picks. And I thought that was ridiculous. You just cannot do that. But it changed it to where if a team were to just blow you away with a trade offer for whatever reason for AD, I think you'd have to consider it at this point.
yeah.
But I wouldn't do it.
Like Rockets would be like, all right, we'll give you Amen. Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
like, okay, so now you have 2 pieces to go forward.
That would be pretty interesting.
I got him to do it in one suggestion.
I've been in picks like again,
but like I don't even think Nico does that, right? Like we just signed trade Luka for this guy.
This is all hypothetical,
right? Nico's.
I was clear in the episode. He's never going to do this.
The moment if they came out next week and said Patrick Dumont is moving on from Nico Harrison, everything's on the table.
Then everything, yeah.
Then it's like, all right. But if he's been empowered to do all of this, then there's no scenario in which he's trading his guy. And
what if the Nuggets call the Mavs and are like, hey, Jokic just demanded a trade. They want to go to Dallas.
Nico would laugh and hang up.
Hey, we'll just do AD straight up. Jokic for AD straight up.
Oh my God.
He's like, dude, he literally just said he was going to drink beer this offseason. So no.
I don't want any horse racers on this team.
What shoes does Jokic wear?
He has his own brand. Was it?
Yeah, he's
361
Nico's
or
out.
something.
Nico's
361. Yeah.
He's out on that, which I guess they did have Kyrie and Klay and Spencer Dinwiddie. So
true.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on this extra episode of
Hey, last one. One more thing.
Oh, let's go.
What team is Spencer Dinwiddie on next year?
I can't imagine he's on the Mavs.
Really? If I had to bet a team, I'd bet Dallas, actually.
If I had to bet a team,
If I'm him though, I just went through all that.
I would take the field over the Mavs, but if I had to pick one specific team, do they not like him? I mean, he plays all the time. Like, I think they like him.
He led them in minutes last year.
Yeah, like I think they like him. It's not one
he
of
let
these.
us know that too.
Yeah. Well, and he's been posting the Cooper Flagg stuff.
I bet he's on the team next year.
We didn't mention him at all in our guards, though.
Well,
like our minimum guards.
God bless him.
I think there's a better chance of him in Dallas over LA.
I think
not the Lakers.
And probably Washington as well, if we had to guess.
Yeah, he's probably not going back there.
Probably not Milwaukee either.
Yeah, Milwaukee's probably off the table. I would say that the likelihood of them bringing, I think it's likelier it's the backcourt is Dante Exum, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Brandon Williams next year than it is like Drew or them trading for like a legit guy.
Now, I'm really, really confident that there is a new face in the backcourt next year. Very, very confident.
Okay.
Very. I would put some things down on it.
Interesting. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.